We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Hamas to release more hostages on Thursday in a third phase of ceasefire deal with Israel. Fourth phase expected on Saturday. U.S. revokes protection from deportation for more than 600,000 Venezuelans to set up migrant detention center at Guantanamo Bay. Congo planning to recover territories as Rwanda-backed rebels advance south. East African bloc urges immediate ceasefire. Former U.S. Senator Bob Menendez sentenced to 11 years in prison in bribery and corruption charges. Meta agrees to pay $25 million to settle Trump lawsuit. Forecast first quarter revenue below estimates. And on to the details now. As part of the third hostage prisoner swap between Israel and Hamas, 3 Israeli captives will be released today. 2 women, civilian Arbel Yehud and military observer Agam Berger, have been named along with 80-year-old Gadi Moses as the Israelis set for release. 5 Thai nationals will also be released along with hostages. In exchange for the Israeli hostages, 110 Palestinian prisoners are being freed from Israeli jails. Their release is part of the third such exchange since the ceasefire came into effect on 19th of January. 7 women have already been freed in exchange for more than 290 Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails. A 4th hostage release involving 3 male hostages is expected to take place on Saturday. The 2 sides are currently implementing the first 42-day phase of the agreement, which should see 33 hostages freed. And the hostages to be released today includes Arbel Yehud, who was taken from a home in Nir Oz in southern Israel during the 7th October attacks. Yehud, as a woman and a civilian, should have been released last Saturday in the second exchange under the latest ceasefire deal. When she did not appear, the Israeli government accused Hamas of violating the agreement, and in retaliation prevented hundreds of thousands of displaced Palestinians from returning to the north of Gaza. Israel lifted the block after Hamas pledged to release Yehud and the 2 other hostages this week. While U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday amid the Gaza ceasefire and a regional diplomatic push. The meeting comes before Netanyahu's visit to Washington next week. Israeli Prime Minister is the first foreign leader to be invited to the White House by U.S. President Trump during his second term. Earlier, Witkoff visited Gaza on Wednesday. The U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East is in the region to oversee the implementation of the Gaza ceasefire. Also, U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order to instruct the Pentagon and the Department of Homeland Security to prepare a 30,000-person migrant facility at the Guantanamo Bay naval base in Cuba. He made the announcement during a ceremony in which they signed into law the Laken-Riley Act, the first legislation to get his signature since his return to the White House. The bill, named in memory of a nursing student killed by an undocumented immigrant in Georgia, allows the detention of undocumented immigrants accused of theft-related crimes.
Today, I'm also signing an executive order to instruct the Departments of Defense and Homeland Security to begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about it. We have 30,000 beds in Guantanamo to detain the worst criminal illegal aliens threatening the American people. Some of them are so bad we don't even trust the countries to hold them because we don't want them coming back, so we're going to send them out to Guantanamo.
Well, the U.S. naval base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, already houses a migrant facility separate from the high-security U.S. prison for foreign terrorism suspects that has been used on occasion for decades, including to hold Haitians and Cubans picked up at sea. The detention facility at Guantanamo Bay was set up in 2002 by then U.S. President George W. Bush to detain foreign militant suspects following the September 11, 2001 attacks on the United States. There are 15 detainees left in the prison. Trump's two Democratic predecessors, Barack Obama and Joe Biden, sought to shut down the Guantanamo prison and were only able to reduce its inmate population, but Trump has vowed to keep it open. And Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel reacted sharply on U.S. President Donald Trump's plans to detain illegal migrants at the Guantanamo Bay military prison. Cuban President, in a social media post, called Trump's Guantanamo Bay announcement an act of brutality to help migrants would be held near facilities the U.S. has used for torture and illegal detention. And India's Shubhendu Ghosh joins us for more on this. Well, Shubhendu, good morning. President Trump plans to detain migrants at Guantanamo Bay, especially considering the facility's history with the terrorism suspect. What can we make out of all this?
Good morning, Lipakshi. That's right. Major steps have been taken by the Trump administration to deal with what has been their key agenda of tackling illegal immigration, illegal migrants, undocumented migrants in the United States. The first one is the act of Lake and Riley Act, which in fact makes it easier for the law enforcement to take illegal immigrants in custody. The number of crimes, the number of offenses, that list has been expanded, so it becomes easier for law enforcement to take actions against illegal immigrants. The next executive order, the bigger story perhaps of the plan to send about 30,000 what Donald Trump calls the worst of the illegal immigrants, the criminals, to a detention center in Guantanamo Bay. Now, Guantanamo Bay by itself presents a curious case of United States presence outside of its mainland. It's a lease agreement with Cuba, dates back to over a century. America has a naval base. This is the southeastern end of Cuba. It's another country where this bay is located. 22 years ago, in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, a detention center came into being for the trial and a detention of hardcore terrorists. It has also earned a name for accusations of human rights violations. So in that context, the idea of sending illegal immigrants to this detention center, which was meant for hardcore criminals, has raised many eyebrows. Donald Trump, though, is clear about sending a message across that there's not going to be any leeway as far as tackling the challenge of illegal immigrants is concerned in the United States. Remember, the number stands at 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. It's a Herculean task, the manner in which it has to be dealt with. But these 30,000 beds that are being arranged for, according to Donald Trump, the most dangerous criminals among the undocumented immigrants, is going to send a message both to the immigrants that America is close for them, and also about Donald Trump that he means business.
All right, a huge number indeed there. What impact do you think this announcement will have on the broader debate around immigration reform and the treatment of migrants in the U.S.?
It does open up a Pandora's box, particularly with reference to Guantanamo Bay. It had housed a certain migration center always for many decades now. There is also a detention center for criminals. But now the gap appears to be blurred. Will these undocumented illegal immigrants, will they be housed in the detention center? There is also a certain blurring of the manner in which international humanitarian laws or even American laws for individual freedoms apply in the area of Guantanamo Bay. So what is the kind of treatment that the illegal immigrants will be exposed to at a place like this? Cuba, of course, has denounced the presence of the American presence in Guantanamo Bay since the Cuban Revolution half a century ago. And the reaction that we hear from the Cuban leader is no different from what was expected. But the messaging would be clear from Donald Trump. It will give give him a certain hedge while negotiating with countries from where most of these illegal immigrants come, forcing them to take them back, or they will be sent to Guantanamo Bay. As I mentioned, the message will also be sent across to millions of illegal immigrants that America may not be the same safe hub for them as it had been for decades. And for Donald Trump, he would be able to project an image of a leader who means business loud and clear.
So much, Shubhendu, for all those details out there. And moving on, the Trump administration revoked protection from deportation for more than 600,000 Venezuelans in the United States as it highlights crime by a limited number of migrants. The United States grants temporary status or for more than 7 million Venezuelans have fled their country over the last decade as the oil-rich country's economy implodes under leftist leader Nicolas Maduro, a bugbear of Washington who has faced major sanctions. And U.S. President Donald Trump has appealed his conviction for covering up hush money conviction and appointed new lawyers to expunge the first conviction. Trump named lawyers from the prestigious firm Sullivan and Cromwell in an effort to overturn the New York jury's guilty verdict and the sentence passed by the judge in the case on January 10th. Trump had sought a suspension of the criminal proceedings after a New York State appeals court dismissed his effort to have the hearing delayed. But the Supreme Court ruled that the sentencing could proceed. Trump repeatedly called the prosecution a witch hunt. Rhetoric prosecutors argued was designing to have a chilling effect on the legal cases against him. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Syria names Ahmed al-Shara as president for transitional phase, vows to fill government vacuum legally. EU unveils new economic model, shifts focus to business-friendly Brussels after heavy focus on green goals. And Mexico to protest Google's renaming of Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. And moving on, Syria's new leader, Ahmed al-Shara, was declared president for a transitional phase on Wednesday. Shara was also empowered to form a temporary legislative council for a transitional period until a permanent constitution for the country is decided. The announcements came during a conference on the victory of the Syrian revolution that was also attended by Shara, Foreign Minister Asad al-Shaibani, and heads of armed factions. Addressing the conference, Shara said the first priority in Syria was to fill a vacuum in the government in a legitimate and legal way.
Syria's priorities today are: first, filling the power vacuum legitimately and legally; second, preserving civil peace by striving to achieve transitional justice and preventing acts of revenge; third, building state institutions, especially the military, security and police; fourth, to work on building development-oriented economy that is aimed at re-establishing human, agricultural, industrial and service sector resources; fifth, Syria must regain its international and regional status and establish its foreign relations on the basis of brotherhood, respect, sovereignty and common interest.
Well, the Democratic Republic of Congo is plunged into chaos as President Felix Tshisekedi slams the international community's inaction on the escalating conflict in the eastern region. More in this report.
Democratic Republic of Congo President Felix Tshisekedi has slammed the international community's inaction on the escalating conflict in the eastern region, calling it a betrayal of the country. The conflict, fueled by alleged Rwanda-backed rebels, has ignited public outrage in Kinshasa, with protesters targeting foreign embassies. Tshisekedi warned of regional destabilization. While the international community has denounced the embassy attacks, Tshisekedi's plea for intervention remains ignored, leaving the region on edge. While an East African bloc urged an immediate ceasefire in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, M23 rebels who seized the city of Goma extended their advance on Wednesday. Congo said it planned a campaign to recover lost territory. DRC President Tshisekedi has vowed a robust military response.
Face à cette situation,
in the face of this situation, let me reassure you that a vigorous, coordinated response against these terrorists and their sponsors is underway. Our valiant armed forces of the Democratic Republic of Congo, symbols of courage and patriotism, are fully mobilized, ready to defend each inch of our territory.
pleinement mobilisés.
The conflict is largely driven by the region's vast mineral wealth, including cobalt, gold, and coltan. The eastern DRC is home to some of the world's richest mineral deposits, making it a coveted prize for armed groups and external powers. Meanwhile, nearly 300 foreign mercenaries hired by the DRC government surrendered to UN peacekeeping troops in Goma Wednesday night. The M23 armed group, allegedly backed by Rwanda, has seized 2 districts in South Kivu, eastern DRC, after capturing Goma in North Kivu. The advances have killed at least 17 people and have injured around 370, worsening the region's humanitarian crisis. Antara Sinha for DD India.
And former U.S. Senator Bob Menendez was sentenced on Wednesday to 11 years in prison for taking bribes, including gold bars, in exchange for favors for Egypt and New Jersey businessmen. U.S. District Judge Sidney Stain imposed the sentence at a hearing in Manhattan Federal Court following Menendez's conviction last July. The judge ordered Menendez to begin his prison term on June 6th, allowing him to attend his wife Nadine Menendez's corruption trial starting in March. Former U.S. Senator said he's innocent and is looking forward to filing appeals on a whole host of issues. Robert Menendez represented New Jersey for 18.5 years in the Senate and chaired that body's Foreign Relations Committee, was found guilty in July in all 16 felony counts he faced, including bribery and fraud.
Regardless of the judge's comments today, I am innocent, and I look forward to filing appeals on a whole host of issues. But let me just say this. This whole process has been nothing but a political witch hunt by the Justice Department's NSD and prosecutors who are more interested in political scalps and preparing to run for public office like Damian Williams.
Well, Mexico will write to search engine Google objecting to its decision to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America on its maps following Donald Trump's order. Google said the change aligned with its policy of following official U.S. government geographic designations through the Geographic Names Information System. Trump signed executive orders renaming the Gulf of Mexico and reverting the name of North America's highest peak, Denali, back to Mount McKinley soon after his January 20th inauguration. Google said that users outside the United States would continue to see both the original and new names of the Gulf of Mexico and Denali, as is always the case for disputed locations. And the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, has told all aid groups to immediately pause all U.S.-funded programs until further notice as humanitarian groups grapple with the lack of clarity on waivers to President Donald Trump's 90-day aid pause. All U.S. aid payments have also stopped. According to U.S. Treasury data, the agency made no payments on Tuesday for the first time since the fiscal year began on October 1st. USAID on Monday paid out $8 million and last week a total of $545 million. Just hours after taking office on January 20th, Trump ordered a 90-day pause so foreign aid contributions could be reviewed to see if they align with his America First foreign policy. The U.S. is the world's largest aid donor. The State Department then issued a stop work order on last Friday for all existing foreign assistance and paused new aid, sparking a steady stream of individual notices to aid groups and UN agencies telling them to halt specific programs. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has issued waivers for emergency food aid, life-saving medicine, medical services, food, shelter and subsistence help and supplies. Well, Meta has agreed to pay President Donald Trump $25 million to settle a 2021 lawsuit he filed claiming he was wrongfully censored by Facebook and Instagram after the U.S. Capitol riot. It is seen as a victory for Trump as $22 million of the payment will go towards funding Trump's future presidential library. Remainder will cover legal fees and payments to other plaintiffs in the case. Meta and the settlement will not admit wrongdoing over the suspension of Trump's accounts. Trump had widely criticized social media platforms for suspending his accounts after the January 6, 2021 insurrection. Zuckerberg has expressed support for Trump and he has tweaked Meta's policies to lift restrictions on some content within the company's apps, which include Facebook, Instagram, Threads and WhatsApp. In December, ABC News agreed to pay $15 million settlement payment to resolve a defamation lawsuit brought by Trump stemming from on-air comments about him made by a top anchor. Meanwhile, Meta Platforms forecast first quarter revenue below Wall Street estimates, signaling its bets on pricey artificial intelligence-powered tools were struggling to attract additional digital ad dollars to its social media platforms. The company expected quarterly revenue between $39.5 billion and $41.8 billion compared with an analyst average estimate of $41.72 billion. While promising a simplification shock, the European Union unveiled a much-anticipated blueprint to revamp the region's economic model on Wednesday. Coming early in EU chief Ursula von der Leyen's second term, the publication of the Competitiveness Compass aims to mark a change of tack towards a more business-friendly Brussels. Faced with U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff threats and China's fast ascent in key industrial and digital sectors, EU is under pressure to make life easier for its firms. It hopes to get back in the race by implementing recommendations made last year by former Italian leaders Enrico Letta and Mario Draghi. While Sri Lanka's central bank expects headline inflation to remain negative in the near term in the crisis-stricken island. In its latest policy review, the central bank has said that inflation is expected to gradually rise to the target of 5% by mid-2025. The headline inflation has remained in the negative territory for last 4 months, with December 2024 recording it at -2%. Well, the island's economy had faced a crunch in 2022 when it faced an acute forex shortage. Since then, Sri Lanka has received generous assistance from India worth $4.5 billion and has secured a $2.9 billion package from IMF. And India's Ahmed Mohin Faruqi joins us from Colombo on this. Well, Dr. Faruqi, please tell our viewers more on the economic situation right now in Sri Lanka and how people have seen inflation at 70% in 2022 and now it is being recorded at minus. Is there a visible change?
Good morning to you, Lepakshi, and all our viewers across the world. Yes, you see, in 2022, when the peak of the economic crisis was witnessed, Sri Lanka had seen inflation hovering at about 70%. That was the year-on-year inflation. Now, from then to now, yes, the numbers they have a marked change Now the inflation for the last 4 months is hovering in the negative territory. There's a deflationary number, but you see at the ground level, the price rise which had been affected in 2022, the effects of that are seen even today, and people have been talking about the difficulties they have been facing. The cost of living is pretty high, and this is where the people have talked about bringing about a change. And this is what was seen at the time of the election, which we had witnessed in September of 2024, when people had talked about difficulties they had been facing. Now, what is witnessed in the ground reality is that the food inflation has somehow been curtailed, but non-food inflation is something which has been presenting for quite some time. But the CBSL's governor, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, has said that the inflation will continue to remain in this negative territory for the next 2 to 3 months, but gradually will shift towards the positive side and go towards its target by later this year. At the same time, the CBSL has maintained the policy review number, the overnight policy rate at 8%, hoping that this will propel the growth which the Sri Lankan economy had witnessed in the later part of 2024. In fact, if we have to remember, the 2022 and 2023 numbers were in negative growth territory, but in 2024, the GDP has shown some improvement, with the third quarter recording numbers of about 5.5%. Lipakshi.
Right. Dr. Farooqi, also there has been a regime change in the last few months in the island, as we all know. Has the new government made any significant changes to the economic situation there so far?
You see, Lipakshi, the new government has taken over in September. While the presidential elections were completed in September, the parliamentary elections got over in November 2024. And the budget of the year 2025 has not been presented yet. In fact, it will be presented next month. And there are a lot of expectations from the government to make significant changes. Whatever we are seeing till now, it has been the outcome of the result of the policies adopted by the previous regime under Ranil Wickremesinghe. However, the new government had promised that it will definitely review certain of the austerity measures which were adopted by the previous government to make life easy for the common man. And that is probably been expecting, the people have been expecting about that to be revealed in the budget which will be presented next month. Meanwhile, for now, the only positive difference which has been witnessed is that people are expecting a positive change. There has been an increase in the level of people's hopes and aspirations. However, the exact change, whatever we expect to see, might happen only after the budget.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Farooqi, for all those details there. An independent research agency in Bangladesh, Center for Policy Dialogue, has called for holding the national election soon, stressing that a stable political environment is crucial for economic and investment growth. The agency noted that the economic situation of the country was quite vulnerable during the rule of the previous government. However, there has not been much improvement in the last 6 months. The interim government could not increase employment opportunities. Our country cannot attract domestic and foreign investment unless there is political and institutional stability. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world today. Cleanup crews continue to remove hazardous household materials from the homes destroyed by the deadly fires that swept through Los Angeles this month. Crews worked in Altadena, the town where the Eaton fire erupted, causing 17 deaths. The crews, donned in hazmat suits, gloves and masks, sift through rubble with shovels and other tools. People of Shetland take part in the Up Hela festival in the main town of Lerwick that celebrates the Scottish Islands' Viking past. The event, first held in 1881, is known for its festive parties that involve traditional Shetland dancing. The procession culminates in the guisers, or men in costumes throwing flaming torches into a Viking longboat, settling it all right. As severe cold weather conditions hit Niagra Falls, the famed tourist destination was shrouded in a dense layer of snow and ice on Wednesday. The iconic landmark and its surroundings were heavily laden with snow and ice, with a distant rainbow bridge arching over the frozen Niagara River. Tourists at the site were fascinated by the extraordinary spectacle. And still to come in DD India News Hour. We get you a special report on Martyrs Day, marking a moment of reflection on the profound sacrifices made in pursuit of freedom. As the nation awaits the union budget on the 1st of February, we get you the budget expectations of different sectors and sections of the economy. And we'll give you all the updates from Mahakumbh as the religious fervour continues in full swing.
Timeless, boundless, and infinite. The essence of faith, the soul of Sanatan culture, from the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic, world's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Mahakumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana and I'm now for a quick recap of the headlines. Hamas to release more hostages on Thursday in a third phase of ceasefire deal with Israel. Fourth phase expected on Saturday. U.S. revokes protection from deportation for more than 600,000 Venezuelans to set up migrant detention center at Guantanamo Bay. Congo planning to recover territories as Rwanda-backed rebels advance south. East African bloc urges immediate ceasefire. Former U.S. Senator Bob Menendez sentenced to 11 years in prison in bribery and corruption charges. Meta agrees to pay $25 million to settle Trump lawsuit. Forecast first quarter revenue below estimates. And moving on, India observed 30th January as Martyrs Day. The day holds great significance as it pays tribute to India's freedom fighters, soldiers and citizens who gave their lives for the country. This day is particularly significant as it marks the death anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi, the leader of India's non-violent freedom struggle. Mahatma Gandhi's vision went beyond politics. He envisioned a world where truth, non-violence and compassion could overcome hatred and division. On this day, nation pays tribute to its brave martyrs and remembers their dedication to the cause of independence. Martyrs Day highlights the importance of freedom, patriotism, and the nation's deep respect for those who fought for its sovereignty. On this day, prayer meetings are organized to pay their respect to Mahatma Gandhi. And Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the Union Budget 2025 in Indian Parliament on February 1st, 2025. Now let's take a look at budget expectations from various sectors. Well, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is set to unveil the Union Budget 2025 this week on the 1st of February. Like always, this event will be keenly watched. The Indian economy faced challenges in the first half of financial year 25 amid lower capital expenditure, but this trend is expected to recover in the second half of financial year 25.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is set to unveil the Union Budget 2025 this week on February 1st. Industry experts believe the government should project a 10% growth in capex for financial year 26.
We are very sure that government will definitely prioritize infrastructure development, which we have seen in past many years during the Modi government. There has been a tremendous focus on infrastructure development. We expect that there will be at least 15% more capex for the infrastructure development in the country, as we have already seen that 1 rupee spent in infrastructure brings a growth of 3 rupee to the nation.
The agriculture sector is hopeful for reforms addressing crop pricing stability through advanced minimum support price (MSP) mechanisms. The taxation industry expects the Indian government to further simplify tax norms and ease compliance.
Reduce the rate of income tax on personal income tax rates from for income up to 50 lakhs to 25% as against 30% right now. We also suggested that the rate of surcharge for income above 50 lakhs should also be reduced. Our next point was to increase the depreciation on electric vehicles so that the sale of electric vehicles is promoted to reduce pollution. We also suggested that the new income tax law should be more simplified from the existing one.
The healthcare industry wants increased government support to address critical challenges in the sector.
Health budget should be priority, and it should not be in any case less than 3% of GDP, so that we can serve common man even in the villages. Though I appreciate Ayushman Bharat is doing very well, same time nation need more budget for the healthcare facilities.
From the budget of 2025, we would expect to focus on improving health access, affordability, quality, and especially long-term infrastructure improvements.
These expectations reflect a cross-sectoral hope for progressive measures in budget of 2025-26 and will drive sustainable growth, enhance productivity and improve overall quality of life. Anil Thomas's report for DD India, New Delhi.
Well, startups and renewable energy sectors are acting as harbinger of India's growth trajectory. They're looking forward to Union Budget for 2025-26 with new hope and expectations. Listen in.
Startups are key pillars of economic growth and development, creating several opportunities, introducing different innovations and creating jobs. We have Choitali Das with us. She herself an entrepreneur and running a startup on jute. Madam, what's your expectations from general budget?
I think the GST part can be reduced a bit. I don't deny that we are supposed to pay the tax. But at the same time, for startup, I think we can have a little tax incentive as an encouragement. Yeah.
But as you know, Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself is encouraging for the growth of startups because he believes that startups are adding new dimensions to growth. Right. So what do you say of it? Particularly, do you believe that this budget will give further impetus to the startups?
In that regards, when our Prime Minister is encouraging the startups, the youngsters are encouraged to come forward with their innovative solution. Like for instance, with my jute, we have innovative ideas. Constantly we do R&D, mixing jute, making a vegan wool, woolizing jute, then jute with denim, jute with water hyacinth. So those are the combination that we are doing. And jute is a geofabric. It is used for soil erosion, geotextile, for road construction. Yeah, so many things actually. There is a potential which can be, uncovered by the new age.
We have with us Devendra Goyal, who is chairman of Energy Council of Merchant Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and himself is very much attached with the renewable energy sector. So, what's your expectation from general budget this time?
See, my expectation from the general budget is government is pretty optimistic in a way that we have to add an additional capacity of almost like 250 gigawatts in next 5 years. But the supported infrastructure is not there, for which government also has to look after, which is grid connectivity and transmission line. That pace has to be matched with the generation idea that they have. Right now there's a gap between the generation and the distribution projects and the ideas of distributing the power. For India to become a green energy hub, One, what I personally feel is that they should not be doing a fragmented solar park, rather they should be coming up with a major solar park. So instead of inviting bids for 1 megawatt, 2 megawatt solar parks, they should look at inviting bids for 30, 40, 50 megawatt of solar park, so that we have an integrated infrastructure of grid connectivity, of transmission line that will help in reducing the cost, it will help in better efficiency, it will help in better transmission of the electricity.
All round expectations are there that this time Union budget will be for the growth centric. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is encouraging the renewable energy sector and the startups to get integrated with the development and the progress of the country. This is Anibrata Bhattacharya for DD India from Kolkata.
Well, Tripura, state in northeast part of India, possesses tremendous potential from the growth point of view. With the Union Budget 2025 to be presented on the 1st of February, the state expects for a slew of measures to accelerate the growth engine of this diminutive state.
The central government has in recent years opened up many avenues for economic development of rural people, especially women and youth in the state of Tripura. The government has been consistently providing financial support to the farmers through schemes like Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samriddhi Yojana. In order to further boost the state's economy, economists and civil society feel that Tripura has a huge potential to explore tourism economy, which needs more focus to excel. Tripura, along with the entire northeast, can be an educational hub.
Particularly for Tripura, this year budget attains a special importance owing to the developments in Bangladesh. The local economy is linked in a big way. The emerged scenario has had its effect in the domestic market, in the hospitality sector. A lot of people used to use Tripura as a transit. That has come down. Trade has decreased. So obviously, we need something which is going to revive the economy.
For decades, the state's capital, Agartala, has been used as a transit point by Bangladeshi people who visit India for medical tourism and business purposes. Experts view the very trade relation need to be strengthened and expanded.
If the border remain insecure, then so many illegal activities like smuggling of drugs and cross-border criminal activities, infiltration, this must be stopped because these otherwise affecting our Indian societies.
With the government's Act East policy, Tripura and the entire northeast is heading on the path of development. However, the prevailing instability in the neighbouring country has led to drastically downsize the passenger movement and also trade volume. In order to overcome the losses and give the much needed economic fillip, people in Tripura are expecting for SOPs for the state in the Union Budget 2025.
The uncertainties in the neighbouring Bangladesh has become a cause of concern for the people of Tripura. Apart from reduced passenger movement, the trade and commerce activities between the two countries have been affected to some extent. In order to overcome the losses and provide a much needed fillip to the state's economy, people of Tripura are expecting for SOPs in the Union Budget 2025 from Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. With camera person Shubhrata Shah, this is Kunal Shinde reporting for DD India from Agartala.
And now to all the latest from the Mahakumbh, the largest gathering of humans anywhere on the planet. Well, the Mahakumbh fervour still continues with devotees from India and across the globe coming to Prayagraj on the auspicious occasion of Mauni Amavasya, the second Amrit Snan of the Mahakumbh 2025 on Wednesday. Crores of devotees took the holy dip at the eternal and pure Triveni Sangam in Prayagraj. This was the first time that the saints, Naga sannyasis and akharas broke the historic tradition of performing their first dip at the Sangam. In light of the circumstances, the akharas postponed their Brahma Muhurat Amrit Snan and followed the devotees to take the first dip. Once the situation normalized, the akharas followed their grand Amrit Snan traditional symbolically. The popularity of the Mahakumbh and its cultural heritage are being recognized globally. Foreign devotees visiting the Mahakumbh were deeply impressed by Indian culture and alongside their holy dip in the Ganga. They experienced India's religious and cultural traditions. Meanwhile, taking a stringent action, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath ordered a judicial probe into the stampede at Mahakumbh on Wednesday. He also announced 25 lakh rupees compensation for the families of the deceased. A 3-member judicial commission has been tasked with submitting its report within a month. Chief Secretary Manoj Kumar Singh and DGP Prashant Kumar will visit Prayagraj today to assess and reinforce crowd management strategies for the upcoming bathing days. And for more, we have Akshay Dongri joining us from Prayagraj. Well, Akshay, yesterday was the second Amrit Snan, or the big Mauni Amavasya day. Tell us, how did the day pan out yesterday and how is it there now?
Well, Lipakshi, let me take you to the Prayagraj city and how it is faring right now. So we in fact have come to the main entrance areas of the city. In fact, these are the points from where common people are entering into the city. As you can see, after the mishap of yesterday, the government has made elaborate arrangements of not just security, but also to ensure that people are only entering once there is enough space at the ghats for people to be accommodated. In fact, you can see the deployment of Central Armed Police Forces have been ramped up. There is CISF and UP Police that has been deployed everywhere to ensure that there is no chaos or ruckus at any point in time when people either leave or enter into the city. These are the people who are now coming out of the city. They probably have taken bath yesterday on the occasion of Mauni Amavasya. However, the people that you see that are now entering into the city, they are now, in fact, going for the third Shahi Snan that will be on Vasant Panchami, that will be on 3rd of February. So, Kumbh has not ended with Mauni Amavasya. In fact, this is just the middle point of the holy month of Mahakumbh, as people, you can see, despite the incident that took place yesterday, are going to Prayagraj. In fact, they have been assured by the government that all the arrangements have been done to ensure the safety of the people.
All right, Akshay, thank you so much for that. Right now, we have a news just coming in. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration has confirmed that a PSA Airlines regional jet collided mid-air with a Sikorsky H-60 helicopter while on approach to Reagan Washington National Airport. Well, PSA was operating flight 5342 for American Airlines, which had departed from Kansas. According to American Airlines website, the jet has a capacity for up to 65 passengers. Police said multiple agencies were involved in a search and rescue operation in the Potomac River, but there was no immediate word on casualties. The airport said that all takeoffs and landings had been halted. Emergency personnel responded to an aircraft incident. Well, also, the National Transportation Safety Board said it was gathering more information on the incident. Potomac River borders the airport. Well, as we told you, the news just coming in that the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration has confirmed that a PSA Airlines regional jet collided mid-air with a Sikorsky H-60 helicopter while on approach to Reagan Washington National Airport. Breaking news coming in, PSA was operating flight 5342 for American Airlines, which had departed from Kansas. According to American Airlines website, the jet has a capacity for up to 65 passengers. And the police also said that multiple agencies were involved in a search and rescue operation in the Potomac River, but that there was no immediate word on casualties there. Also, the airport said that all takeoffs and landings had been halted. And emergency personnel responded to an aircraft incident, and the National Transportation Safety Board said it was gathering more information on the current incident. Potomac River borders the airport. So right now, a breaking news, as we told you, the news just coming in that the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration has confirmed that a PSA Airlines regional jet collided mid-air with Sikorsky H-60 helicopter while on approach to Reagan Washington National Airport. We know that a passenger aircraft crashed into the Potomac River near Reagan National Airport outside of Washington, D.C. after it collided mid-air with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter as it approached the runway. In fact, U.S. President Donald Trump has been made aware of the situation, and tragically, it appears that a military helicopter collided with a regional jet. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has said on a U.S. TV network. The FAA said a PSA Airlines Bombardier regional jet collided in midair with a Sikorsky H-60 helicopter as it approached for landing at Reagan. And another important news coming in, a Canadian Commission report has found that no definitive link to a foreign state was proven in the killing of Canadian citizen Hardeep Singh Nijjar, undermining Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's allegations of Indian involvement. The report, titled Public Inquiry into Foreign Interference in Federal Electoral Processes and Democratic Institutions, was released on Tuesday. In the report, Commissioner Mary-Jo Hawke said, and I quote, "This may have been the case with the disinformation campaign that followed the Prime Minister's announcement regarding suspected Indian involvement in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar," unquote. Well, in September 2023, Justin Trudeau claimed Canada had credible evidence that Indian government agents were involved in Nijjar's murder in British Columbia in June 2023. This had led to a diplomatic row, with both countries expelling each other's diplomats back then. Well, you're watching DD India News. Our time now for some sports news. For the first time, Uttarakhand has become the centre of India's biggest sporting event, the 38th National Games. Competitions are being held across 11 venues. Locals are excited about the National Games being held in Uttarakhand. Exclusive report by DD India's Narayan Singh on how the hill state of India is buzzing with excitement.
The state is hosting the Games for the first time. Competitions are being held at 11 venues across the state. The venues are decorated with paintings, banners and hoardings. The atmosphere is so vibrant and electrifying that it gives the feeling of a grand international event. The people of Uttarakhand are also excited about hosting of the Games in the state. They believe the Games will boost the state's economy and bring new opportunities.
This platform can provide businesses an opportunity to showcase their products, etc. Example, people from throughout the nation, from different states, will come to Uttarakhand and will participate in this program. And they also have basic requirements, so it will automatically boost the businesses. Second, infrastructure development. We need grounds to play. We need platforms to play. So this will also lead to the development of the infrastructure, and it will help in the long term of the state. Third is tourism development. Uttarakhand is a hub of tourism. It is also known as Devbhoomi, as we all know.
Moving on, New Yorkers rang in the Lunar New Year, with spectators celebrating the day with firecrackers. In Chinese tradition, firecrackers are believed to scare off evil spirits from the year to come, and they bring good fortune. Take a look.
scholarship from reviewer.
想影響人嘅智慧財富，係有夢想、有才藝嘅美少女。
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.